Hey class, hello and welcome to week 6. Dr. Doug Brown here. Moving forward, great week thus far. Week 6, we only have a couple weeks left. If you have not taken a look at the final proposal, go back to week 1, take a look at that. Go forward to week 8. Make sure you take a look at the paper requirements, the final project requirement. Do not wait till the last week to start working on this. You need to be working on it now if you've not already started. Very difficult to write this final paper in just a few days on top of everything else that we have to do. Again, keep in mind, I cannot accept any late work in the last week. So if you enter week 8 and you're behind, unfortunately, I cannot wait. Cannot accept any weeks before that, simply because I will not have time to grade them as well as the final project and get your grades in on time. The fall session starts, so preparing for that as well. And let me just mention that again. I need your late assignments now in week 8. If you contact me and you submit a late assignment, I will not accept it because I'm not able to grade those assignments and complete that final project as well. Obviously, per the late policy, if there's an exception, automobile accident, death in the family, etc., that sort of thing, we'll talk about it. We'll discuss it, but there's no guarantees simply because I'm warning you and I'm making notification now that we need to get that in as soon as possible. Okay, but as you know, always try to be a little bit flexible for you or with you. So what are we doing this week? Again, in the past, we've built up to each component, the literature review. We've talked about the purpose statement, the problem statement, and the topics. You shared some of those topics you thought needed to be researched within your department or your community. Just a quick reminder on that, you have to narrow. So those topics, those purpose statements, etc., the problem, we really have to narrow those, narrow our topics, our research down to make it really easier to do, because if not, you'll face some roadblocks that will make it very challenging for you and very frustrating. So whatever you sent me, I want you to really take a look at those topics, those problems, and those purpose statements. Go back and look at the material as it relates to the topic, the problem, and the purpose. Read those again and again and again and again, and narrow that down, because if not, you'll find that you will have some frustration that will make your journey very difficult. I promise you can trust me on this. With bachelor's thesis, those papers there, a graduate project, and a doctorate, I can tell you, I have gone down that path where it's been very frustrating because my professors told me narrow, read. And I thought I did that, except for it wasn't narrow enough. So pay close attention to that. Okay. And in the meantime, if you need help, let me know. So, again, we worked on those topics, problems and purpose, discussed some of those things that needed to be researched in the community. This week, what we've done throughout the class in these past 5 weeks, beginning week 6, is we're going to write the literature review. Now, it is important, and I hope everyone watches this video, because it's important that you take the feedback that I've given you on the layout, organization, structure, writing, grammar, APA, and so forth, and use those tips, suggestions, and feedback that I've given you to help you with the literature review. It has to flow. Just like you get in a vehicle, and there's a system that you use, start the vehicle, check your mirrors, etc. There's a system. Your paper must flow from beginning to end so that the reader, you're not writing for me and you're not writing for yourself or someone you work with at the firehouse. You're writing for the reader who has absolutely no idea what on earth you're talking about. So your paper must flow from beginning to end and be consistent, readable, easy to understand, so that when the reader starts the paper, gets to the middle, and finishes it, they can go in reverse from end to beginning. It flows back and forth just like water on the ocean. It ebbs and flows. The waves coming in back and forth. We can follow those. It reads well. It's written well. There's no grammatical errors. You cite, follow an APA, author, comma, year. You're not speaking in technical terms or using abbreviations or acronyms without first explaining what those mean so that we understand them. It must have a good flow from beginning to end, just like a good painting. That's the challenge sometimes, is to get there. And I don't want you to be in a hurry. If you write this literature review and you're in a hurry, you're not taking time, you're not closing the door, not setting aside to do it, you're trying to do it at the firehouse and getting, 3 or 4 calls a shift, 5 calls, whatever, it's not going to flow well. So I want you to go hide somewhere and find time to write this literature review. You can do it in steps. Go slow, breathe, read, write, check, cite, and have 2 to 3 other people read it. But I don't want you to give it to your buddy at the firehouse, one of your coworkers, to read it. I want you to give it to your mom, your dad who don't work in the business, your wife, significant other, sister, the neighbor, to see if they understand it. And whenever you do your final project, I encourage you to do the same thing. Because if they can understand it, then it'll be fine. But if not, if it has the abbreviations and contractions and it doesn't flow well, then it's not going to read well and you're not going to do as well. So on this particular paper, my goal is to give you that feedback to help you in the future, not to penalize you so much. The goal is to grow and help you move forward. So just pay attention to that if you don't mind. Now the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to post, go back and look at the elements of a proposal that's posted in the course, the other information we've shared. Keep in mind that the first paragraph is not titled Introduction. Introduction should not be in there anywhere. It's not bold. Those first 2 headers are not bold. Shouldn't be called Introduction. We already know it's the introduction because it's the first paragraph. But that first paragraph should explain the purpose of the literature review. Let's talk about the literature review. Let me back up. Let's talk about the literature review you're doing. So the first paragraph is not called Introduction. But you should discuss the purpose of the literature review, state the research question, and then describe how the topic is relevant to the practice in this particular case. And then as we move forward, what we're going to do is describe the methods, describe how the search for literature was conducted, identify keyword searches, list the databases used, explain any methods of inclusion or exclusion. You'll see those examples shared within the assignment this week to help you. And then we have the discussion. That's the main point. It provides a thorough synthesis of the literature. It should be synthesizing. That's the heart of academic writing. So you're not really summarizing, you're synthesizing. You'll identify any new knowledge gained or possible gaps in the literature as well. And this section requires detailed preparation and in-depth critical thinking skills. So use those tips, what you find in the course, those objectives, that material that's provided to help you. Then we'll discuss future research. And then we'll I'll have a conclusion. Remember to put a conclusion in your paper. You've seen my feedback that has suggested you add conclusion. It's bold, it's centered. The entire paper, including the running head and the page numbers, must be Times New Roman 12.5, please. And the references as well. Make sure that that includes, that you include those references as well, if you don't mind. It's important to do that moving forward as well. So when we look at that, when we look at what's shared in the course, the weekly content and resources provides 2 PowerPoints, chapters 8 and 12. I mentioned reading chapter 8 last week as well. So we have chapters 8, 12, and 13. And I want you to pay close attention to the PowerPoints on chapters 8 and 12 that's provided in the lecture notes. Read the textbook, if you don't mind, and then make sure that you take a look at the sample EFO Applied Research Project, the methodology and procedures. Pay a close attention to those as well, because both of those will benefit you. Now, in the process this week, if you run into any problems whatsoever in developing your literature review, then I want you to take advantage of me. Call me, text me, email me, and let me work with you and help you on that. If that means we have to meet via Skype or Zoom, whatever method or means or medium, then that's what we'll do. I'll be more than happy to help you with that. This may be a little more challenging than what we've done in the future, but I do encourage you to take advantage of me and let me help you. I don't mind doing that whatsoever, but I need you to set aside time when you do that, so that we have some time to work on it. And I know a lot of you work on your projects, at the firehouse. The only time you get time, because we all work 40, 11 jobs. So it's okay. Just let me know. We'll set aside time, or just call me whenever we can. I like to have a little advance notice if we can, because if I'm working on something else, I'd like to be able to take a few minutes and stop that so that I can help you. You're my priority. You're number one. And if that means that we have to meet early in the morning, late at night, whenever, I'll be more than happy to do that. So anyway, that's week 6. Check your discussions. Make sure that you check your APA site. Following the examples that I've given you that's posted in the class. I'm still seeing some opportunities, and at this point, we really should have at least those basics of APA down. I mean, we really should have the author, comma, year, page number, direct quotes, etc. We really should have that down. So I'm a little concerned. Make sure you go look at those examples, the chips, this week. Now, here's what I want from you. Please do not submit a discussion or any of your papers to me whatsoever until you've gone back and looked at those APA tips, examples, and used the template this week. Because as we get closer, grading, becomes a little more challenging. I want to make sure that I'm giving you the right tools and that you're using those as well. So please go back and look at those if you don't mind. Reach out to me, text, call, give me a little heads up if you can. But if you're in a jam, you can always call me, send me a text, and I will answer your call, because again, you are the priority, and I'm going to help you move mountains to get this done. Make sure you're happy. Make sure you understand you're moving forward and doing quite well. If not, let me know. So thanks for checking in. I hope you have a fantastic week. And I think it's going to be a good week. You're doing a great job thus far. I'm proud of everybody. And if not, call me. Let me know. Let me see what I can do to help you. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for watching the video. See you soon.